Greg Belfrage Show. Monday, May 5th. It's really great to have you along this morning. All right, the big story, the president saying rebuild and open Alcatraz. This is the top story this morning. Fox News has been covering this. So the president on Truth Social then yesterday afternoon, this was around 6 p.m. yesterday, he said, rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone that they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. Yeah, I wish that was not the case. And sadly, I mean, some of the most violent criminals we see, we've got our own homegrown beauties, you know what I mean? So he says the reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. So the president posting that yesterday evening on True Social, and I don't know, you're doing it late enough in the day. I don't know that we've seen a lot of response yet. You can bet we will today. That's a very big story. Be interesting to see what the reaction is from others today to that. The president did do an interview with Kristen Welker of Meet the Press, and it covered a number of things. And then said it was such a dishonest interview. And right during the interview, he says this. You got Kristen Welker then going after it. He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is such a dishonest interview already, Trump says. And he went after her for cherry picking data points then to tarnish his administration versus what was going on during the Biden administration and the inflation. And the president said prices are down on groceries. Prices are down on oil. Prices are down for oil and energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person, and that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy, he said. He also pushed back on Welker and China's statement about Trump's use of tariffs. And he said, and he hit her with it. He said, first of all, you're giving me a statement. Now he's saying a Chinese statement. First of all, you're giving me a statement that was said a week ago. And he's absolutely right. He's on top of this and what's going on. So this is a week-old statement. And he says, you're not giving me the statement that was said today. You know what they said today? There was a back and forth between them. And the president said they made over time numerous statements. I can give you a statement for any occasion. They said today they want to talk. He said, look, China, I don't like this. I'm not happy about this. China is getting killed right now. They're getting absolutely destroyed. Their factories are closing. Their unemployment is going through the roof. I'm not looking to do that to China. Now, at the same time, I'm not looking to have China make hundreds of billions of dollars and build more ships, army tanks, and airplanes. So this was a lengthy interview the president had with Kristen Welker, and also got into she was talking about the June 14th birthday parade, and he pushed back on that. And they did talk about tariffs. And he said, I think tariffs will be great for us because it will make us rich. He said, and then he talked about, there were comments that he had made, and I shared this with you on Friday about maybe the fact that, a young girl might have, $2 or $3 versus $30 from China, And Welker asked Trump if he was ready for Biden-era empty store shelves. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need 250 pencils. They can have 5. He said, we don't need to waste money on a trade deficit with China for things we don't need, for junk we don't need. Some of us, unfortunately, are just compelled to spend money on junk we don't need. I know that's what you were thinking. Yeah, that's what you were thinking. You're going, oh boy, he's one to talk. So the president was also asked about a third term. That is something he's joked about. He's made a number of comments. I have believed that he was just doing it for the reaction. This guy loves the reaction. Unfortunately, he goes too far. We'll talk about that in a moment. And he said to Welker, he said, I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. And he said, I always thought that was very important. So he suggested to Welker during a previous interview, he was not joking about finding a way to serve another term. Now he's softening that. He said that doing it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do, the president said. So then so he's saying, I'll turn it over to somebody. Who that's going to be, he's made it very clear that his mind is on, is on this term and getting things done, trying to get as many things done as he can. Also, the president's rejecting the media's narrative on a birthday parade. And there has been a lot, there's been some talk about a parade on June 14th, which is Flag Day. It's also the president's birthday, by coincidence. You don't get to choose your birthday, right? I'm not sure I would have chosen June 11th, but it is what it is. You don't get to choose your birthday. It so happens that the president's birthday falls on Flag Day. And he said that. And he said, of this parade, he said, I view it for Flag Day, not necessarily my birthday. He said, somebody put it together, but no, I think we're going to do something on June 14th, or maybe somewhere around there, but I think June 14th, it's a very important day. And again, he's saying that's not because it's my birthday, June 14th. It's because it's Flag Day. And I've told you this story before, and I don't mean to embarrass my ex-wife, my former wife. Her birthday is on June 14th, on Flag Day. And when she was young, her father, who had, I've always believed, just an incredible sense of humor, was a great guy. He used to tease her that they were flying the flags for her birthday. All right. The president also saying yesterday he would reach out to any CEO in the country if he disagreed with them, especially if they were planning to list tariff changes on their products. So you'll remember last week he contacted Jeff Bezos. There was a report that Amazon was planning to list the impact of the tariffs. Trump said Bezos and Amazon acquiesced. And the president saying during this Meet the Press interview, there was a lot of news made on this Meet the Press interview. The president said, I'll always call people if I disagree with them. If I think that somebody's doing something that's incorrect, wrong, maybe hurtful to the country, I'll call. Wouldn't you want me to call? Biden wouldn't call because he didn't know what was happening, but I do, the president said. What people don't understand, and this is a lot, the country eats the tariff. Or he said the company eats the tariff. And it's not being passed along at all. So retailers have been saying, buy now, wait, get out there and buy before the tariffs. And so some have had pre-tariff sales and so on. So that is continues to be a big story. Also, just the number of stories involving Trump, and honestly, it just absolutely surprises me. Just huge, and a number of them are trending. He's just making news every time you turn around. This guy. The president saying yesterday that he plans to appoint a new national security advisor in about 6 months, he said. And he made it clear to reporters that Mike Waltz did not resign, that he was tapped for an upgraded position. And the president repeated, what folks were saying late last week as we were talking about this. President saying of Waltz, I didn't lose confidence in him. He's going to the United Nations for a reason. To me, I think, personally, if I had assurance for myself, I'd rather have that job, the UN job. I would rather have that job than the other, president said. And he reiterated, he said there was no resignation. So Mike Waltz did not resign, according to the president. There was also some talk about Stephen Miller, who is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, and whether he might be considered for the role that Mike Waltz just vacated. And the president said, Stephen Miller at the top of the totem pole? I mean, he sort of indirectly already has that job because he has a lot to say about a lot of things. He's a very valued person in the administration, Stephen Miller, he said. Stephen Miller is just absolutely incredible. Also, and forgive me, I don't have this story in front of me. I should have. It's trending, and I will share it with you coming up. The White House had a picture of the president as the Pope, which just created there was a lot of negative reaction to it. And I think understandably so. There are times that I wish folks who were close to the president would say, Mr. President, that's an incredibly bad idea. That is, there are a lot of people, there are going to be those who are legitimately offended. Now, you're going to have those who hate Trump, and they're going to be, they're going to pretend they're offended. And then you'll have those who are genuinely offended. that they find it just absolutely outrageous. I think it was a step too far. I would not have done it, but that's me. you know, that photo, that photo that was released of him as as the Pope with the white gown on, and um, personally, I don't find it funny. That's the thing about humor, and especially you know in a case like this, I would not have done it. Also, in part, maybe with some passage of time, that's a wound that is still fresh for a lot of people. You haven't even had a new pope chosen yet. So that story was huge over the weekend. Now, I'm also going to tell you, I look at that, and with all of these other things going on and all of the other just over the top reactions that I think are far more threatening to me and my liberty and my security, I'm more concerned about those things. So I'm not going to stop my feet and kick and bellyache, and there will be those who will. I won't be one of them. Again, I'll be very clear with you. I wouldn't do that. I think it's in horribly bad taste. but, but what else is new? The president has shown more than once that he's capable of extremely bad taste. So we'll see what the fallout is. The president also, and this is a much lesser story, but it's hilarious to me. The White House also celebrated Star Wars Day, which was over the weekend, with an AI generated image of the president wielding a red lightsaber and characterizing him as a slayer of the Sith. And there are those who are showing him as the emperor, Trump with these baggy, as the emperor, and the White House saying in this post, "Happy May the 4th to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. May the 4th be with you." See, as much as I dislike what he did with the Pope get up, that he was, I love that. you're not the rebellion, you're the empire. Absolutely correct. Also, the president will be announcing later today that the NFL draft headed to Washington, D.C. in 2027. So that announcement will be made later today with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Also, the owner of the Commanders, Josh Harris, will be there. They'll be at the White House. And the plan being for the 3-day event to be held at the National Mall. So again, this will be in 2027. Another big story this morning is Warren Buffett saying that he will resign as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. So he plans to resign. He's been in charge there for 55 years. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. He's 94 years old. I looked at those photos of him. That man does not look 94 years old. He just doesn't. He looks like he's 64 years old. So he said he plans to make way for his planned successor, Greg Abel. Greg Abel has been his next Greg Abel has been set up to take that position for quite a long period of time. So that's not going to come as a surprise to anyone. But after 55 years in charge, stepping away, stepping down, 94 years old. And he broke the news then to a stadium full of his shareholders, and they gave him 2 standing ovations. And he said, the enthusiasm shown by this response can be interpreted in 2 ways. He joked. And then he said, thank you. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show at 6:27. Clear and 45. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Nights 5 to 8. Hello.
Sorry, I was a little bit late getting into the firing off the YouTube. To make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Bring concrete outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows, optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom.
Hope you had a great weekend.
646-646-2667 today.
Okay, let's see.
The BMW F900 GS and the all-new R1300 GS aren't just bikes. They're built for curiosity, for grit, for adventure. This is the spirit of BMW GS. Make life a ride at your 90 Powerhouse.
Whether it's on the job, on the field, on an errand, or at home, accidents can happen anywhere. If you suffer a break, sprain, or any other orthopedic injury, trust the experienced orthopedic team at Avera Orthopedics Urgent Care to keep you moving. Be seen immediately inside the Avera Specialty Hospital at 69th and Louise. No appointment necessary. Learn
My timing was perfect for a change.
At avera.org/orthopedic urgent care.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Yeah, Fox and Friends is showing highlights of that president's interview with Kristen Welker. There's a lot of news made in those interviews when he talks.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say you've got to check out Consumer Cellular. And now for a limited time,
isn't it amazing, you know, as you watch the Trump administration versus the Biden administration, where you had people in the Biden administration certainly who were making news. It wasn't the president. Statements that were being released by the president. In this case, it's Trump who is driving the news. It's Trump himself, whether it's comments he's made on True Social, actions. He's visiting with reporters constantly. What an incredible difference. It's just night and day difference.
Temperatures likely in the mid to upper 70s on both Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Weather continues on Friday.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, it's a beautiful morning, mostly clear, 45. Fox News Radio coming up next. Then we'll check in with Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Mayor Paul Ten Aiken criticizing the president over that AI-generated image showing Trump as the Pope. Also, a suspect in an officer-involved shooting still at large. Joe will have details on those stories coming up for you in minutes here on Kello.
Chris Foster. Democrat Chuck Schumer says it's as un-American as it gets. President Trump saying he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution and the right to due process for everyone he wants deported from the U.S.
It might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
The president on NBC's Meet the Press later saying he wants to reopen Alcatraz prison in San Francisco, closed in 1963, now a tourist attraction.
Trump wrote on Truth Social, "For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, repeat criminal offenders who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering saying, "That is why I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the DOJ, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen Alcatraz to house the most ruthless offenders."
Fox's Brooke Simon. The president also says he wants tariffs on movies made outside the United States. America's listening to Fox News.
Weather brought to you by Infinity Sedation Dentistry, Sioux Falls. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Sioux Falls Mayor Paulton Haken is criticizing President Donald Trump over an AI-generated image showing Trump as the Pope. The altered photo, posted Friday on social media and later shared by the official White House X account, had sparked backlash worldwide. Ted Haken called the post incredibly distasteful. Catholics worldwide continue to mourn Pope Francis's recent passing. A suspect involved in an officer shooting remains at large. Last Friday morning, Oglala Sioux Tribe officers attempted a traffic stop on Highway 18 between Oglala and Pine Ridge. The vehicle fled, later swerving towards officers, deploying spike strips, who then fired their weapons. The chase ended in Dawes County, Nebraska, where the driver, identified as Cody Dittman, fled on foot. A Pier woman has been indicted on 6 felony counts for stealing well over $500,000 from Medicaid. Attorney General Marty Jackley says 48-year-old Sharon Monson stole the funds over a 6-year period through her business, At Home Nursing. Monson faces up to 42 years in prison if convicted. Construction is likely to begin at the Sioux Falls Regional Airport this summer to expand their terminal. Airport Executive Director Dan Rettler says the airport is operating at full capacity now, and a larger expansion is needed.
We have broken the construction of the project into multiple phases. So we do have, right now, we're just focused on the bare bones, the base plan, which is basically a hallway, the gates themselves, and some restrooms.
The airport authority is receiving bids on the first phase of the expansion now to avoid losing about $8 million in federal funding. And the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources has approved funding for clean water projects across the state. Nearly $6 million in grants will benefit drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater projects. Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, Mitchell, and Box Elder are just some of the areas that will benefit. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Weather brought to you by Intech Cleaning and Restoration. If you need it clean, call the Intech team. IntechClean.com.
Mostly sunny skies today. Our high temperature near 80 with a southeast wind at 5 to 15. For tonight, mainly clear conditions, a low at 48. Tomorrow's high temperature at 82 with an east wind at 5 to 10. And temperatures likely into the upper 70s as we head toward Wednesday, mid-70s Thursday. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Serving the Sioux Empire with the latest news and the greatest talk. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
Brad Smith is a dad of 3 living with ALS. He's nonverbal, can't move anything but his eyes, and relies entirely on a ventilator. Brad recently became Neuralink's 3rd implant recipient, and he's the first nonverbal patient to receive it. You have to listen to him talk about it. Yes, I said listen. I'm Kim Commando for LinkedIn Jobs. Post a job for free right now and find qualified candidates quickly. LinkedIn.com/Kim. Surgeons place the Neuralink directly into the brain. Tiny wires pick up signals from brain cells and send them to a computer, which translates thoughts into action like typing or controlling a cursor. Brad used only his mind to post a message on X. He narrated using a cloned version of his old voice made with AI, based on recordings from
Hey, Robert,
he lost the ability to speak.
Forgive me for not replying to your email. You sent me an email on Friday. I will reply to that today. My thoughts have very much been with you and your wife, and I really appreciated your comments. So
you don't have the luxury of clocking out early.
I get wrapped up at work and emails. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's easy for me to fall behind with my emails.
Is LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for
because there are things that I got to get done each day. And what happens is, that I will find myself at, okay, I put in 9 hours, and I just get to a point at around the 9 hour mark, sometimes 10, but around the 9 or 9-hour mark, I say. That's I've done my bit for King and Country, but I will respond to that email today. I appreciate it.
That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Do it today.
Jim's
Post your
transmission.
job for
All
free
right.
at linkedin.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9.
My friends at Jim's Transmission,
1320
back on board. That's a great team of people over there.
Hello, this is
Right there, Mother Nature. I need to tell people about a limited offer that could save them thousands of dollars. If your furnace or air conditioner is older than Old Man Winter, call Extreme Heating and Cooling. Get a new system at the best discount they've ever offered. Plus, you may qualify for a tax credit this year only. Financing available at 0% if you qualify. As a Ream Pro partner, this is the largest saving ever. The quantities are limited. Call today.
Extreme Heating and Cooling, always there when you need them.
You know what, Chad? Spring is my favorite time of year. Birds are chirping, farmers are farming.
And CNR Supply is here for you 6 days a week for all your planting and spraying equipment needs.
Wait, did you say 6 days a week?
That's right, Matt. Through spring, CNR Supply is open on Saturdays, so we're here when you need us. Come on, Matt. We're going to meet 6 days a week. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it?
I guess. Nightmare's a dream too, right?
Call CNR Supply today at 800-322-2637.
Now, don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless. That comes with a lot of fine print, plus. Oh, in other words, you pay more. At the end of the day, you paid for that, quote, free phone 3 times over. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my cell phone provider, a veteran-owned company, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a much better offer. A free phone with a qualifying plan for just $35 a month, and you get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26.
It's hot in here.
Switch to Pure Talk for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot.
Maybe it's time to lose the long sleeve shirts.
Dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service.
I was so cold for a while. I think it was those blood thinners, following my stroke. Taking me a long time to get used to it.
When you make the switch to Pure Talk, wireless by Americans.
Big transmission problem or minor repair? Takes a specialist to know. And that's why I recommend the specialists at Jim's National Transmission downtown at 4th and Weber. At Jim's, transmissions aren't just part of what they do. It's all they do. And that means that you get accurate diagnosis the first time, not expensive guesswork. They're not buried in oil changes and brake jobs like other shops. Fewer cars, faster turnaround, and less downtime for you. And better pricing, too. Jim's does the work in-house. No third parties, no markups, just honest, expert repairs. Every job comes with up to a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and they're not in a rush to replace what can be fixed. It means more repair options, more savings for you. Call them today. You'll find their phone number at jimsautotrans.com. That's jimsautotrans.com. Jim's National Transmission, downtown at 4th and Weber.
Don't have an AM radio in your new car? No worries. Listen to Kello anywhere, anytime with the free Kello app on your smartphone. For the information you need, your radio is on.
And away we go.
Talk.
20 minutes before 7. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope it was restful for you. For those of you who had the weekend off. I know not all of you do. Mostly clear and 45 currently at Kello. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Ending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
There are a number of stories involving the president that are trending this morning. The president yesterday calling for Alcatraz prison in San Francisco to be rebuilt, larger, and reopened to house the nation's most ruthless and violent criminals. He said, rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never be able to contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. So the president suggesting that Alcatraz be rebuilt. And we'll see where that goes from here. That was in a True Social post later yesterday. Also, there's a lot of controversy over an AI-generated image of the president as the Pope. So he's wearing, papal attire, large crucifix hanging around his neck, and he shared it on True Social. And then the White House posted the image on X late Friday evening. As of Saturday morning, it had been viewed more than 17.5 million times. So this story from Forbes says, though it is unclear what motivated the president to post the image, it has been met with a mixed response. Many found humor in it. Others have been critical, even calling it disrespectful. And on it goes. Also trending, the vice president defending President Trump from criticism regarding that True Social post. Bill Kristol, who served as chief of staff to the vice president in the Bush administration, Bill Kristol, said on Saturday, hey, J.D. Vance, you fine with this disrespect and mocking of the Holy Father? And Vance then, now keep in mind, Vance is a Catholic himself. He converted to Catholicism in 2019. And much as I did, I was not born Catholic. I converted to Catholicism a number of years later. And J.D. Vance said, as a general rule, I'm fine with people telling jokes and not fine with people starting stupid wars that kill thousands of my countrymen, he said. And there was a lot of the Catholic bishops of New York said there is nothing clever or funny about this image, Mr. President. We just buried our beloved Pope Francis, and the cardinals are about to enter a solemn conclave to elect a new successor of St. Peter. Do not mock us. And there were a number. Now some of the criticisms coming from people, you've got a number of Democrats who are Catholics, and they're much more motivated by hatred of Donald Trump than they are motivated by their Catholic faith. I see that in the fruits of what they do. So we'll leave that there. The president also, yesterday was May 4th, which is Star Wars Day, right? And there was a post of the president. He was holding a lightsaber surrounded by U.S. flags and eagles. And it said, Happy May the 4th to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. May the 4th be with you. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's move on. The president also doing a pretty substantive interview with Kristen Welker of Meet the Press over the weekend. It aired yesterday. And the president putting an end to the talk of him running again in 2028. And he said, I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president, he said. I always thought that was very important. And about running, now he has joked about running again. And I've told you that, my own interpretation in that previously was he's just trying to, get under people's skin. He's just trying to upset them, get them all worked up, or maybe distract them from other things. Because nobody does that as well as Donald Trump. It's just, man, the guy just gets them all shook up. So I thought he was doing it just for the sheer pleasure of getting them all worked up. And the president seemed to confirm that during this interview with Kristen Welker. He said, as to whether or not running for another term, he said, it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't expect it to end there, but we'll see. Also trending this morning, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that the need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine has not arisen, and he hopes that it will not. These were in comments aired yesterday in a film by Russian state television about his quarter of a century in power. Putin said Russia has the strength and the means to bring the conflict in Ukraine to a logical conclusion. He said there has been no need to use those nuclear weapons, and I hope they will not be required, as do we all. Also, what did occur over the weekend, you had a Russian drone attack that injured nearly 50 people in Kharkiv. So among the 50 were hurt. The injuries included an 11-year-old child. This was late on Friday. Russia attacked the city of Kharkiv with dozens of drones. Warren Buffett announced on Saturday he'll be stepping down as chief executive of Berkshire Hathaway at the end of the year. And that will bring to an end more than 6 decades of leadership with the firm. So this was during their annual meeting in Omaha. He was met with a standing ovation, and he recommended to the board that Chairman Greg Abel be appointed as CEO. He said, I think the time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end. Also, Apple's, well, we're talking about CEOs, the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, saying last week the company could likely take a $900 million hit in the second quarter due to the president's tariffs. But he said certain unique factors will benefit Apple, he believes. So he said, for the June quarter, we're not able to precisely estimate the impact of tariffs, he said. But he said, it's, taking all of this into account, we estimate the impact to add $900 million to our costs, he said. Also, Texas has a brand new city, and its name is Starbase. Vote Saturday to decide whether to turn part of South Texas into a new city centered around Elon Musk's SpaceX. Was successful. So the measure passed with broad support pave the way for a newly incorporated city made up almost exclusively of SpaceX employees and people who are connected to the company. Also, the Kentucky Derby over the weekend. Sovereignty crossed the finish line to win the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby horse race, followed by journalism. Well, and isn't it just like journalism to come in to come in behind, right? Sovereignty to come in first. You must admit, the perception of that is just, I find it delicious. Okay, also, Thunderbolts did pretty well over the weekend. Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts opened with $76 million in domestic ticket sales. These were the studio estimates yesterday, so kicking off the summer box office. And Thunderbolts have been doing incredibly well. Also, a new 80-story Trump International Hotel and Tower will be built in Dubai. It's a new major project. So real estate developers, including the Trump Organization and others, made the announcement last week. However, it's not trending and did not begin trending until over the weekend. Eric Trump was in the Gulf last week to promote the deal. Also, ABC News reporting that 3 corrections officers at Wallens Ridge State Prison in Texas were stabbed by inmates in a premeditated attack on Friday. This is in Virginia. Total of 5 officers injured at the prison during the attack. According to the department, the officers were then transported for medical care outside the facility. They have since been discharged. They're in stable condition. DOC in Virginia says, I want to make sure we're talking about. Yeah, this is the Virginia Department of Corrections. Just wanted to make sure it's not federal officials. DOC says that 5 of the 6 perpetrators are confirmed MS-13 gang members from El Salvador who were in this country illegally. Also, British actor, comedian Russell Brand was granted conditional bail by a London court a few days ago after appearing to face charges of rape and sexual assault involving 4 different women. He has previously denied the allegations made against him. Few sports stories that are trending this morning. Denver routing Los Angeles 120-101. And so they have earned a date with the Thunder. The Nuggets defeating the Clippers again in the series finale on Saturday. Also, the Tigers' Riley Green marking Major League Baseball history with 2 ninth-inning home runs in a 9-1 victory over the Angels. That's pretty incredible. 2 ninth-inning home runs. Also, it's being characterized as the end of an era. Greg Popovich stepping down as the head coach of the Spurs after 29 seasons. Also trending this morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying there will be blows in response to a Houthi missile assault that occurred. They targeted the airport near Tel Aviv yesterday. And Netanyahu said, "We are acting against them. We have acted in the past, and we will act in the future. I cannot detail everything." Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, saying over the weekend that President Trump proposed sending American troops into Mexico to help her administration fight drug trafficking. But she rejected it, she said. The president said, "How can we help you, fight this?" And he proposed sending in the U.S. military, and she said no. Sovereignty is not for sale. Sovereignty is loved and defended. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57, sunshine, 45. Kind of a beautiful morning here. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
News every hour on the hour and entertaining talk shows all day.
Well, thank you, friends, for being here. I hope to see you at 9:30 for the fourth hour. Want to wish you a great weekend. Thanks for beginning it with me. Very much appreciated.
You're not just looking for a boat. You're looking for moments like these. Visit Sioux Sports.